Thank you. Mr Quilty.
Thank you, Deputy President. I will be brief. Now, budget bills are a little bit difficult for the Liberal Democrats because we don't have a list of spending things we like the government's money spent on. We'd like you to cut spending. So we look miserable rather than generous. It's the people's money, not the government's. With this appropriations bill, the government is asking the taxpayers for $85 billion to cover its spending addiction over the coming year. This is a 31% increase from pre-pandemic levels. Imagine a person, an already heavily overweight person, who weighed 100 kilograms before lockdowns, putting on an extra 31 kilograms over the 2 years. The COVID gut. That's the growth we're seeing in this government. It is not sustainable. Our public sector education used to cost us $14.8 billion, and now it costs us $17.1 billion, while our schools are being amalgamated to cut costs, and classes can't be run because there are no teachers. DELP went from $2.3 billion to $3.1 billion, and we're just talking about the costs of what the government spends. Most of the costs that DELP impose on the economy come from additional expenses the private sector must incur to meet regulatory burdens. DHHS grew so costly that it had to be split in two. The $15.8 billion health portfolio is now $20 billion across the health and welfare portfolios. Where is all this money going? We're certainly not seeing 31% better government services. We don't have 31% more hospitals. Inflation in hospital wait times and ambulance ramping doesn't account for it. I certainly didn't see anything for the new Wodonga Albury Hospital in the budget. This is not 31 kilograms of new muscle. It's 31 kilograms of double chins and sagging bellies. One of the biggest increases has been payments from the Treasury Department. It used to cost us $8 billion, now costs us $18 billion. This is government grants to prop up the economy after knocking it flat during COVID. The government wants to build their re-election credibility based on infrastructure spending in Melbourne. A couple of $100 billion in debt for Melbourne rail and road projects. But you can't use grand capital projects to cover up the massive blowouts in current spending, with nothing to show for it, with services going backwards, with hospital waiting times blowing out. To any taxpayer watching this, I want you to try and imagine how this extra 31% of money is being spent, how much value you're getting for it. Better yet, spend some time trying to figure out for yourself how the extra money is going to be spent. Comb through the budget, read the news, research it however you like, and look for anything more informative than a headline. The answers, if you find any, will not be satisfying. There was $17.4 billion more government this year than in the year before COVID, and that's set to rise to $20 billion in the coming financial year. For reference, that's about $7,800 per household extra, and that's solely for the state government. That doesn't cover the federal government deficits, doesn't cover Medicare or unemployment benefits or pensions. With that additional $7,800, the total per household spend for just the state government is $33,000 a year. You pay another $54,500 on top of that for the federal government. Is there anyone out there who can genuinely say that they'd be willing to pay $87,500 a year, plus local government rates, for the services they get from the government? There are millions of Australians who spend year after year of their life trying to pull together $40,000 for the down payment on a house, while at the same time they're paying $87,000 a year for their subscription to the government. It's not a quality service. For a lot of households, $87,000 is more than their entire after-tax income. They spend more on government than on everything else combined, and they have little or no say in it at all. All I'm saying is it might be a good idea to cut back on the cost of government. Instead of stacking on bulk, like we're training to become a sumo wrestler, the government should aim to be leaner and fitter. Wouldn't it be better to let people decide for themselves how they're going to spend some of that $87,000? So far I've talked about cost, but I want to quickly look at the other side. Let's talk about production. At the same time as spending all this extra money, the government has banned huge sections of the population from working. Some of these bans are still in force today. At a time when our ability to produce is being pulled out from under us, mostly by the government is ramping up its costs. You'll be cutting back to home brand labels and the cans at the back of the cupboard, while the government is using Uber Eats to order in from the expensive end of the menu. Every sitting week, this government passes new regulations, new rules, more red tape to weigh down small business. More sea anchors on the economy, dragging behind the ship of state and slowing it down. We are loading more weight on top of an increasingly small number of people, and eventually they will not be able to bear it. Again, this is not sustainable. We need to reverse course. For all those the economy doesn't matter advocates from the last 2 years, we're all going to find out moving forward why the economy really does matter. We need to remove all the COVID restrictions and many of the pre-COVID ones too. We need to cut taxes and let people spend more of their own earnings. We can't just chuck the entire economy on the credit card and print money until we're in the clear, because we'll never be in the clear. If our state keeps spending at this level, the hungry taxpayer is going to starve, and our obese government is going to have a heart attack. The state has put on too much fat during COVID. The Emperor will be unable to fit into its new clothes. I can only hope the sight of our recklessly bloated government leads to a new diet plan this November. The Liberal Democrats opposed reckless government spending, and we oppose the budget.